2nd, 2019 fiscal year 20 operating budget hearings with the Budget and Finance Committee and Metro Council. Before us, we have General Services and Fleet Management. I'm going to turn it over to Director Whittemore. You can do the introductions, and then you can walk us through your budget. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Is this on? Yeah. With me today, to my right, is Stacy Wall, who's the Assistant Director for Fleet Management. To my left, Laurel Creech, Assistant Director for Sustainability. And at the table to the side here is Diana Atwood, our Financial Manager. What I'm going to do first is just walk through some of our accomplishments that we sent to you in the questions that you requested, and then I'll go into the into our budget request. In FY19, under Fleet Management, we implemented a pilot project for vehicle repairs and maintenance. This project allows Metro agencies to access fleet services from 17 different locations across Davidson County. This change in this business model has improved turnaround time for customers while making vehicle drop-offs and pickups more convenient. We also expanded the electric vehicle sharing program for Metro employees. Shared electric vehicles are now available at the Fulton campus, Metro Southeast, Lentz Health Center, and the historic courthouse. We have a total of 13 electric vehicles that are available on a first-come, first-come opportunity. We also successfully completed 99% of vehicle equipment work orders. We also maintained the fleet at a 94.3% availability. We met utilization criteria for 85% of the vehicles, and we achieved around 7% low zero emission vehicles in our Metro Light fleet. In the area of sustainability, we completed construction on the new police headquarters and family safety center. This facility features the largest rooftop solar system in Nashville with 864 panels, which generates 392,000 kilowatt hours of energy annually. This solar production is expected to offset the energy consumed by the entire facility by around 8%. In 2019, we generated 149,600 kilowatt hours from solar panels at 7 fire stations, the Music City Solar Field, Howard Office Building, and the Family Safety Center and headquarters. The sustainability group teamed up with Metro HR to offer tours of city projects and facilities to Metro employees. These tours included the Center of Responsible Energy, Music City Center, Public Works, the Recycling Center, Water Services, Water Treatment Plant, and the Nashville Airport. They also achieved 1.8% energy utilization index reduction for all of Metro facilities. In order to do this, we have to do a normalization of the weather just to make sure that we're comparing apples with apples. We also saved $9.7 million, 7 million gallons of water in General Services managed LEED certified buildings compared to non-LEED certified buildings in calendar year 2017. We sent out yesterday a link to our high-performance building reports that we send to you on an annual basis, and you'll see these statistics in that report. In building operations, we managed over 4 million square feet at an average cost of $4.92 per square foot. This includes electrical, plumbing, heating, air, janitorial, lighting, pest control, elevators, utilities, landscape, and grounds maintenance. We also processed over 21,000 work orders for building-related issues over the past 12 months, with 57% of those being preventative as proposed to on demand. We closed 98.7% of our Metro projects as compliant with ADA. In the area of administration, we auctioned over 6,000 items in e-bid with total pays paid sales of $17.9 million for fiscal year 19 to date through eBid Nashville. We also processed over 2 million pieces of mail with daily deliveries to 32 buildings. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to General Services staff that makes our success what it is. Let me move to our budget request. I'm going to be talking from the at a glance page. In building operations, we're requesting $570,000 for operational costs at the MNPD headquarters and the Family Safety Center. Last year, we got partial funding for operating costs, and so this is to offset that. We also are asking for $600,000 for new buildings that are going to be coming online. We have the Bellevue Community Center and the Bellevue ICE facility that will be coming online August, September, October. In that time frame, we've got different substantial completion is around the middle of September. I think the Preds have a mini camp that's coming in mid-September also, so they'll probably be moving in sometime in late August. And then the community center, we expect around October for them. We have the Fire Station 32 out in Hermitage and Fire Station 37. We don't have a time frame on those, but we anticipate within the next year that those will be ready to be occupied. The Election Commission warehouse, which we anticipate those folks moving in early December. And then the Police Training Academy, we just did some upgrades on that facility, and they will be moving into that space in June. So this is to offset the operating costs for those facilities. We also are requesting a position which is for an architect. Over the past few days, we've been talking a lot about LEED facilities, energy consumption savings, and how you do that. One of the things that we've learned throughout the last 10 years is that it's important to have someone involved early on in the process looking at design, not waiting till we have a construction team and an architect on board. At that point, it's really a little late because we have done the bridging documents that go to purchasing. And so being able to look at site selection, look at what kind of renewable energy we can use at that site. If we can put all that up front in our procurement, then we will get a much better project. We all know just because a building is LEED certified doesn't mean we're getting the kind of energy, low energy consumption you want. So as we've said all week long, we are very committed in moving in this direction, and this is one way that we think that we can get better. Those are my comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilman Pulley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about, and thank you very much for that thorough analysis of what you guys have been up to. I've had the good fortune to be over there and see your operation up close and personal in relation to the 3 bills that we have before us that deal with sustainable, renewable energy, carbon emissions, and the like. And I think it's worth noting that you guys have clearly not sat on your hands and waited for us to nudge you to really work toward these things that are within that bill. You guys have been really working hard towards it now, and I think all 3 of you deserve a lot of credit for what you've been doing up to this point, heading toward meeting those goals. But I also want to comment on the 3 pieces of legislation that are quite clearly likely to pass. You guys are very familiar with that, and it's going to require funding of some sort. Is that funding currently in the budget request that you have before us now?
No, it's not.
So if that legislation does pass, it will, and it's likely to do so, it will put a bit of a funding constraint on you. So there's going to need to be a way for you to request that money from us. So do you have a plan for that?
Well, I don't have a plan at this time. I'm assuming we'll be talking to finance once the legislation passes. But there's two or three things in that will be important right out of the chute. One is in the green building and in the renewable portfolio, there's a metro-wide strategic plan that has to be done for both of those programs. We have the staff currently that could do it for general services, but to do it as a metro-wide plan, we do not have that capacity. So we would need money to fund those two, a consultant to come in to help us with those two plans.
I think that's an important thing for you to note, because you're right, it is in, I believe, 1599 and 1600, where it is your responsibility to develop that strategic plan. I think there are amendments that will stretch that time frame out to July. However, I don't believe you really oversee all of the buildings that are required in that in those bills. So it will, I think it's important to go on record noting that you will need funding to support those bills. So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
And the other piece that will be important on the going from lead silver to lead gold, we've projected and I know this is capital, but it's something you need to be aware of. We've projected a 2.5% increase on those projects. Right. So as you move forward, for any projects that's in that capital budget, we would have to look at that cost too.
Okay, and nobody expects you to really have those numbers now, but I just want to make sure you know that we certainly are expecting to hear from you, and we understand there will be funding requests that come with these.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Pulley. Councilwoman Allen.
Thank you. Appreciate all y'all do. And again, as a lead accredited professional, I'm so impressed that y'all are able to reach the goals that we've set for you already, and I'm appreciative of that. And I want to again publicly thank you for the water fountain out here. That we've had 116 bottles filled, and the water tastes great, so I appreciate the attention to that. 3 questions had come up. You had mentioned that you would get a new architect to help follow the lead projects. Do we do lead maintenance on those as well, or just we get certified for the beginning year and then we?
Well, you know, there's not a recertification yet. I think that's coming down the road from what we hear, but we take it very seriously. We want our buildings to maintain that certification. That's one of the reasons when we look at how we manage buildings going into unoccupied states, trying to get the energy consumption down as low as we can, looking at air quality, we're testing that. So there's lots of things. You just don't build a building and then leave it. Right. and not, you know, because you've done that investment and you need to keep that investment at the highest level as possible. We, you know, looking at retrofits, how you go back in. We just went into Bellevue Library. We were looking at the energy utilization index there because it was higher than what we thought it should be. Went in, took some technology, did some load analysis on that particular building, brought that energy utilization consumption down. And so we continue to do that, and we we feel like we keep our buildings at that LEED certified level. Great.
Do y'all do any retro commissioning on kind of a rolling basis? Awesome.
Yes.
That's great. I appreciate that. Would that architect have any engineering capabilities just in terms of looking at the HVAC equipment part of that on the front end?
We have a mechanical engineer on staff now, and he is our energy manager that's in the Center of Responsible Energy. He's the one that monitors our building automation systems. He's looking at chillers and coolers and, you know, digging down into the systems. He does a lot of the management of those systems from his desk. So we have that person on board that we can lean on for
Awesome.
that.
So he's already there. That's terrific. Okay, and then one question about police cars. I had a conversation with an officer saying that they had done a pilot project on SUVs as opposed to the sedans, and partly that was because the company wasn't going to make the old style again. Is that something y'all are migrating
Yes.
to, and is that compatible with the electric vehicle
It's
goal as well.
compatible with the low emission.
Low
part of
emissions,
that,
right.
Yes. So the police department actually has a SUV they've been test driving for some time. They came back to us and told us that they wanted to go forward with purchasing that. We got $3 million in the last 4% request for our light fleet. From that, we're going to be replacing 64 units, right, Stacy? 64 units that, and these are units that have been 24, I'm sorry. 24 that have been taken out of service. It's 24 for police, but 64 overall, that had been taken out of service due to wreck or maintenance issues. So we were going to order those 24 as SUVs. We talked to the police department yesterday, to one of the deputy chiefs, and suggested would they, be interested in looking at hybrids. And so we've sent the specs to them. From all indications, it sounds like they'll move in that direction. So as we go forward, we also talked to the fire department. They have 4, I believe, that needs replacing. They're willing to do the hybrid SUVs, and the sheriff department had 1. So we're going to continue to move in this direction in trying to get that fleet to that low emission or zero emission.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Allen. Councilman Glover.
Thank you, Chair. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to ask the question exactly right, so if you wouldn't mind, stay with me for a second. Let's see if I can kind of get where I am trying to go. When things break down, services is needed. If services are not available for someone to do maintenance on, I'll say, a police car, water, fire, whatever the case may be, are we outsourcing some of that work if we're not able to turn it in a timely manner?
Well, I wouldn't call it outsourcing. We're utilizing some contracts we have. I mean, it depends on how you want to define that. Let me tell you where we were in fleet. We had a situation where we could not, recruitment was very difficult, trying to get mechanics on board, retaining mechanic just because of the market and what they can make at dealerships and other places. We were really challenged, and our turnaround time was not so good. So we stepped back and started looking at what other cities have done, what the state's done, and the state had a contract with Bridgestone Firestone. We did a pilot project with them, so instead of having 1 location now, we have 16 or 17 locations total, where if it's a police officer or water services or whoever is in one of those it's the light fleet, not the heavy fleet, they can drop that off for the oil change repair that needs to be done. What we're seeing is that this is being done much quicker than we could do it, just because your capacity's much, greater. We have not laid anyone off. We will not lay anyone off. We have things for those folks to do. But we have close to 40, I believe, vacant positions right now in fleet. And so this is working well at this point. I guess the only thing that we're seeing is work is getting done much faster, so the money's going out the door quicker. And but that is, it seems to be working. And you always have bumps in the roads when you do something like this. Firestone, we have they're looking at opening a midnight shop. I believe it's, what's the hour, Stacy?
Up till 11 p.m.
Till 11 p.m. We have on-call people who are available to do things if something needs to be done also.
Okay, then I'm going to try and ask the question a little bit differently, and hopefully kind of hone in on how to look at it inside of the budget. So, do you have a tracking mechanism that when let's say, go ahead and say police or fire, okay? We're our first, what we most think of as first responders, right. Red and blue lights, and we're trying to get them there for a given thing. And forget the fire engines and ladders and all that. Let's go to fast cars and police cars and those types of things. In utilizing, would you say Firestone, Bridgestone Firestone?
Right.
In utilizing that particular resource, and do we find that while it may sound like, I believe, I don't want to misquote you, but I believe you just said the money's going out the door quicker because you're having to do that. I would prefer to say, well, is the money going out quicker, or are we actually putting these automobiles and these vehicles back in service quicker, to where rather than two officers running one zone, they're actually able to work both zones because we're providing them with the vehicles they need to do their jobs. So here's what this is kind of the question I'm trying to ask, and Chair, forgive me, I can't
Come on
find
with it, man.
I'm sorry?
Come on with it, come on.
Well, I'm about to, because
I'm following
it's
you.
not anywhere here as far as where I can track the efficiency or determine which way is perhaps the best. Is there a way to track that and determine how much more rapid we're able to put the cars back into service, to where we don't have officers that are sharing one police car, or we have a fast car that's not working? And now that we're in full-fledged tourism here in Nashville, I think I was going to say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'll almost say any night downtown. Heaven forbid, I pray nobody has a heart attack, because if 9 or 2 has to be there from the fire department, we have a problem. So are we looking at that, and is there a way for you to provide this council with a matrix to determine if we're spending our money wiser in that capacity, and if we actually expand that, then we are keeping our officers and our first emergency responders out there quicker, and even public works or water or whatever.
Yeah. Well, just going from one garage to 17, that, tells you things are going to get done quicker. Stacy has a very robust fleet management system that all the information about a vehicle, turnaround time, those kinds of things goes into that system. We can do any kind of report that you want in looking at that. So, if you tell me a time frame, what kinds of vehicles, if you just want to look at police, or if you want to look at, like you said, sedans in the fire department, we can certainly get that kind of report to you. We feel like that it's a better service for those folks. They don't have to drive all the way out to Murfreesboro Road to leave the car. They can stay in their zone. If they're coming in to just get a oil change or whatever, they can wait for those and take their car and go. Or if it's a repair, then so the turnaround should be quicker. Now they're calling in. They drop the car off to Firestone, and Stacy can go into this in more detail. They drop the car off at Firestone, tell them what's wrong, and then Firestone calls us, and we approve that PO or whatever based on what they're telling us they need. So there is a check and balance system there as they bring vehicles in to be repaired. But if you want a report, we can get that for you. We can look at last year versus this year, those kinds of things, and show you the difference.
All right, Madam Chair, I'm going to try and wrap up here, and just to make sure I kind of condense it down to where I understand what I think I'm asking and what you're going to provide back.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So I think what I want to know is, when did we begin this process? How much have we spent in that arena with regards to, and I'm going to say Firestone, okay?
Right.
If it's a double name, whatever.
Right.
And then what I would like to know is how many automobiles, how many vehicles outside of trucks and engines and ladders were, forget that. I mean, you're obviously in heavy stuff there. But what was the average turnaround versus what the turnaround is today? Flat tire, oil, however you guys want to categorize that. I believe I'd like to see it, and then I would like to see what you believe the efficiencies are with regards to making that particular move. And then does it make greater sense to try and lean heavier into that arena on particular vehicles or divisions of the repairs and the smaller, and I'll call it smaller fleet for lack of a better word, of how you do it. So I don't know if I'm asking the question very well, but do you kind of have a feel for what I'm trying to ask?
I do. We did a lot of analysis on the front end before we made this move. If you look at the labor rate, our labor rate's $92 an hour. Bridgestone Firestone's around $95 an hour, so we knew we were going to break even kind of there. We even we looked at tires, we looked at everything. that we could push there. We no longer have to buy parts. There's lots of things that come into play with this. So as we move forward, we should be able to, well, we will be able to reduce the number of positions we have in fleet management. But we'll do that. We'll give you our analysis we've done, and then we'll look at what you're talking about. And if it's not exactly what you want, we can have a conversation about it, and we can get what you want.
Well, I think Madam Chair will tell you, please send it through her. And
we will.
So all
We
the
will.
council members would have it. So, yes, if we could have that, and what I'm trying to determine, and I'll close with this, what I'm trying to determine is if we're able to put our officers and our emergency vehicles with the right number of staff in those departments back into the streets, then, okay, we may spend a few more dollars on your side, on the repair side, but we're actually becoming more efficient, because one of the problems we have right now is getting the 911 emergencies, but not high emergencies, responded to rapidly enough.
Right.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Glover. Councilman Weiner, you were seeking recognition? No. Okay. See any other council members seeking recognition? Okay, thank you so much, Director Whittemore, you and your team, for everything that you do for this great city. Thank you so much for being here, and this concludes your budget hearing. Thank you so much.